Warp Core Breach presents the Wave 24 review. We've got 3 awesome ships this month, 2 new, 1 repaint, and that is the IKS Dravona, the IRW Algeron, and a repaint of the USS Enterprise. That's right, the tiny prize. Yay! So, let's jump to it and see what we've got. Alright, Nick, kick us off. Let's talk about the Dravona.
IKS Dravona, Vorcha class, Klingon, 28 points, attack 5, agility 1, hull 5, shields 3. We get a nice little rounding of 2 weapon slots, 1 tech and 1 crew, 90-degree forward arc, no rear arc, standard Klingon action bar. Ability, when defending, during the compare results step, you may discard one of your non-disabled upgrades to cancel 1 hit or crit result. I like the ability to cancel damage, but a non-disabled upgrade, that hurts.
Yeah, it really does. And what hurts more is that weapons are really expensive. Tech aren't cheap, and crew are the only thing, outside of a couple of elite talents, that are reasonably priced. But you only have 1 crew slot. If this had the Mata's slot configuration with crew, weapon, tech, it would be better.
Yeah, and even then you'd likely only use it once, maybe twice.
You're right. But even that could save you maybe even 1 death. So
for
it's
sure.
Almost like a built-in cheat death.
Yeah, well, cheat death covers overflow to the nth degree. This just saves you if you're 1 shy of surviving.
True, and cheat death does flip your crits, but this does cover that situation where, you killed me exactly? Really?
Well, here's the thing. It's not an action, it's a reaction, so it's not like, oh, well, I'd rather just take an evade. This is like you can decide in the heat of the moment, I came up 1 short on my defense roll, so I'm going to do this to save myself.
Which is great.
Yeah.
The thing that annoys me here is that we still have a Vorcha with only a 90 forward firing arc, and in the show, we see them fire backwards with torpedoes. And we never see that with a Burrell or a Cavort. Those have engines in the back.
Right.
Yet they have 90-degree rear arcs. It's one big thing that they messed up on with Klingon ships. But I digress. I don't know. I still like my generic Vorchas better. Save me the points.
True enough.
Encourage me to cloak.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and 1 shield is rarely enough to say, I gotta pay that extra 2 points. Although, for 2 extra points, it's almost like getting 2 shields, because you can toss an upgrade and have that extra shield. So it's, if you've got the room for it for the extra 2 points, it's worthy, I think. But other than that, yeah. It's basically you get half price on that extra shield.
Which is reasonable.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to hate you for that one.
Well, let's move on to the captain.
Well, first we have Admiral Gowron.
Admiral Captain.
His Admiral side is normalize, but his Captain side is crazy eyes. So he's a +0 as an Admiral, skill 5 as a Captain. Both versions give you a talent. Either will cost you 3 points. Then, as an action, or a fleet action, if there is not already a battle stations token beside your ship, place 1, and then, if a Klingon ship performed that action, and it has a Klingon captain, you may immediately perform an additional action from your action bar as a free action.
I like it. Battle stations for Klingons, and you don't lose out on your other action? Well, as long as it's an action bar action, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and think about the 2 most popular actions that Klingons take that aren't from the action bar. Projected Stasis Field, and then Drex or Ingaran. Well, the battle station covers Drex or Ingaran, and gives you extra flexibility. So now you've got your battle stations. So just don't put Gowron on the same ship as Alexander, and I think you're good to go. What you really want is Gowron combined with Captain Worf from the Karaga. Then you can reroll your blanks, have a battle station token. Mm-hmm. It's like all the quality you want, all wrapped up in one.
And actually, it wouldn't be so bad having Alexander there because, you could have the battle station for defense because this is place.
Except you have to not already have a battle station token when you use Gowron.
Oh, because of the timing of when Alexander places it. Right. Yeah. I forgot about that.
But you could put Alexander on the same ship as Gowron and then use a different ship for Gowron's fleet action.
Absolutely. Use them from another ship.
Yeah.
Right.
So that would work out.
Okay.
We find ways to make things work. I like it, though.
Yeah, and speaking of the House of Moog, our captain on this ship, Worf's brother Kern.
Ooh, we like Kern.
Yeah. He is a 3-cost, 5-captain skill captain. Obviously unique, he does come with a talent slot. There's a first for him. During the combat phase, each time you defend, you may re-roll one of your battle station's results. If this card is assigned to a Klingon ship, you may re-roll up to 2 of your battle station results. Kern may feel 1 Klingon elite talent upgrade. So it's not technically a talent slot, but it is if you're going solid Klingon. So that's handy.
Yeah, so this isn't one of those wow you abilities, but I think it's going to be at least mission playable.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice defensive card. It works great while cloaked, gives you a nice little boost, some quality.
Yes. And it's something that doesn't interfere with getting a battle stations from other things, because you're going to use your battle stations most likely for your attack. So it's definitely synergistic in that sense.
I feel bad saying this, but I would rather Kern be a lower skilled captain.
Yeah, like a 3 or something.
Yeah, because then I'm going to pay less points for him.
Mm-hmm.
But, I still like the ability. I think it's fun. You're probably not going to see it a lot in OP play, but have fun with it on the kitchen table.
Yeah.
So we've got an elite talent here that a lot of people have been talking about.
Oh yeah, hubbub around the water cooler?
Yeah, and around the salt mines. Kind of all over the place. And that's detonation codes. 4-point, unique of course. Action. Discard this card to target a minefield token within range 1 to 3. Roll the number of attack dice listed on the mine's upgrade card, -1. All ships within range 1 of that minefield token suffer damage, as normal, from any hit or crit results. The affected ships do not roll any defense dice. Then, remove the minefield token after it is detonated.
Minesweeper.
Yeah, it is a good Minesweeper card. The concern I have with it is that people take it, and then one of 2 things happen. Either you face no mines, in which case you just burned 4 points.
And a talent slot.
Yeah. Or you face multiple mines, in which case this doesn't do enough.
Because it's unique, you can only bring 1. Like, I could say, since it's a talent, see them having it as like a 1 per ship, but I would have more likely made this like a tech or something that could fill a weapon, tech, or talent slot.
Now, let me say, I am super glad that something like this exists in the game.
Absolutely. Hopefully the first of more.
Yeah, the reason I'm bringing up what I'm bringing up is that I'm trying to inject a little bit of caution that this isn't a cure-all. It's not the fix that stops people from taking cloaked mines.
Right. It's not meta-changing yet.
Right. If this was a 1-point generic tech that was action, remove a minefield, then it would be meta-changing.
Absolutely.
But it's a step in the right direction. At least it's in the game now. And from here, you say, okay, let's take a step. Let's make it cheaper. Let's make it generic. And let's get it in the hands of players and see what they do with it.
Yes, those low-costed generic cloaked mines.
Yeah, the Minesweeper needs to be cheaper than the card it's trying to sweep up.
Exactly.
Now, where this is good is if you bring your own mine.
Mm-hmm.
Cloaked, antimatter, multikinetic, I don't care how you bring them, but bring your own copy of mines and then detonate your own.
Yes, that's what I was going to say, is it's a great way to cover your bases. You've got it in place to sweep the enemy mine, singular, but if you bring your own minefield, then you make sure that this card is not wasted. Because if you have, say, cloaked mines and the enemy moves in, triggers, boom, they take some damage, you can force trigger it again, hit them again, and get an attack on them, hopefully. So you're going boom, boom, boom. That's quite an interesting tactic. Could be very effective. And speaking of cloaked mines, like the prize pack Coronar, we get some more Klingon cloaked mines.
Oh, yay.
3-cost tech, non-unique. During the planning phase, you may discard this card to place a minefield token within range 1 of your ship in any direction, but not within range 3 of an enemy ship. If an enemy ship passed within range 1 of the token, roll 3 attack dice, -1 if the target ship immediately performs a scan action. Any hit or crit damages the target ship as normal. The affected ship does not roll any defense dice. So, again, like the previous Klingon mines, similar but not quite as good as the Romulan cloaked mines for placement.
Yeah, which is good and bad. Good because there's more time for you when you're facing them to get out of the way, more room to maneuver. Bad because when you, the deploying player, use them, they're not messing with the opponent as much, so they're not as effective for the same cost.
Mm-hmm.
You got to balance that.
Yeah, I guess it kind of fits thematically in the sense that as the Romulans are considered more sneaky, they could finagle loosing cloaked mines closer to the enemy because they're more skilled in that, where the Klingons being more obvious, they'd have to do it further back. Basically out of scanning range.
I suppose that makes some thematic sense.
Yeah. So, it's great to have a retail access to the Klingon cloaked mines, so I'm very grateful for that. However, the pack does not come with a mine token.
Yeah, which says, hey, use the one from the starter set, or I think the Enterprise NX had it, or one of the Vulcan expansions had one. Basically, anywhere you've gotten one in the past, you can use it.
Yeah, and if you chose not to buy those ships or don't have the ability to buy those ships, then you're kind of stuck. With special things like this, it's almost unforgivable. Like, I can understand not getting a cloak token with something like the Defiant. It sucks for those that are Federation pure buyers, where they would not otherwise have a cloak token, but then again, they have at least 2 from their starter kit, unless they traded away the Romulan and the Klingons. But this here, it's like, there's no point really in buying multiples of this ship for more cloaked mines unless you already have a bunch of tokens prior. Now, the saving grace there is on the Board Game Geeks forum, prior to the Wharf and all that coming up, I believe it was Chris Guild, or was it Andrew Parks, that posted a template to print your own minefield token.
That was Andrew.
It was Andrew, right. So there is that. So if those of you out there are a little concerned about not having enough tokens, you should be able to find it on the Board Game Geeks forum as well. Just search minefield token.
And that's totally legit. As long as you don't modify it in any way, print it to the right scale, you're good to go.
Absolutely. And I'm sure the odd ship pack came with some excess cardboard that you can just glue stick it onto.
Yeah, they're out there.
Well, there's a fair bit of tech on this ship. What's next, David?
Well, we've got emergency power. No, not the resource. This is a Klingon tech, non-unique. It'll cost you 4 points. During the activation phase, if there is an aux power token beside your ship, you may disable this card to either perform a red maneuver or perform an action. No ship may be equipped with more than one. Being able to perform a red while you're under aux is nice. Gives you that come about again.
Yeah.
Being able to do an action is nice. if I'm taking this, it's probably for the action so that I can come about and then do an action.
Right. It doesn't say so, but I think it's safe to assume that given that it's telling us you can do it, you don't have to take the penalty where the opponent chooses your maneuver. So I don't think we need to worry about that.
Well, yeah, because then you're not actually doing a red.
Quite. So otherwise this card would require that secondary impulse reactor.
Right, and that would just be silly.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's okay. I don't think it's 4-point good, but it's at least kind of playable. Probably mission good.
Yeah, given it's a disable, in order to do that, I would have put it at more like 2 points. If it was a reactive without an otherwise cost, 4 is okay. Not ideal, but okay. But again, you're adding in another cost with that disable, so you have to spend your action to bring it back next time. And as it is, you're taking a second Ox token, so you won't be able to perform that action for 2 green moves, or other shenanigans to remove Ox. So that's pretty costly, if you think about it.
That it is.
Yeah. Handy in a pinch, when you need power in an emergency, but not a top-tier card. Next up, we have Security Sensors. A non-unique 5-cost tech. If an enemy upgrade or captain targets your ship, immediately place an evade token beside your ship, even if there is already one there.
Okay, well there's a fair number of upgrades that target a ship. Mm-hmm. Getting an evade is nice.
I wish they would include the wording upgrade or captain or admiral. Because if you've got something like Admiral Kirk, this card doesn't trigger. He has to be the captain.
Right, or worse, Gul Madred.
Yeah. There's too many loopholes for that sort of thing that make things like this not as useful as they could be.
Or should be.
Granted. Like, at least it still is usable and it's still effective. It's just not as effective as I think it should be.
And the thing is, a lot of cards target you once during the game, and then they're done.
Yeah.
I feel like for this card to justify being 5 points, it needs to do something more than what it does.
Yeah.
It needs to give you an extra defense die.
Well, I'd rather have the evade token than the defense die, but you're saying in addition to the evade?
Yeah, in addition to. Right. Even if it's only once per round, it would still be something more.
Granted, it is reactive, so, you know, if you had him targeting you multiple times, even in the same turn, you could do it. Because it doesn't even say may, it just says immediately place.
Yeah, but that's still only once per card effect.
Right.
Because a card targets and then carries out each of its effects.
Yeah. But just based on game logic as WizKids have set things up, 5 points for a static ability that has no otherwise cost, just a conditional trigger, where you could use it for the rest of the game, you know, without anything else. It's more justifiable to be a higher cost for that criteria. The fact that it requires an opponent to trigger it from a not common effect, that's what reduces its general value.
Right, because now all I have to do is shoot you over and over again until you're dead, instead of messing with your upgrades. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Alright, well there's time token torpedoes in this pack. They're just like the ones we get in the starter set for the Vorcha, except time token instead of disable. They give you an extra attack die when fired from a Vorcha, but they're still not good enough. 90 forward arc only. Comes back to rear its ugly head.
Oh, absolutely. It's basically a weaker phaser array retrofit that works at range 2 and 3.
Right, and costs more points.
And doesn't give you the counter to the defense. So, no thanks. It's there. It'd be handy if there was a rear arc. That would increase its value. That would make it something to consider.
It would make it exponentially better.
Yes, and that's the main thing that's holding on to photon torpedoes having any value, is being able to fire anywhere other than your forward arc, which in this case would only be a rear arc, but most times you got your ships, you're stuck without that rear arc. Well, last up, Klingon crew, unique 5-cost Borak. I believe he was a lawyer, wasn't he?
Yeah, I doubt it.
I think he was. When attacking during the modified defense dice step, you may disable this card to force the defending ship to re-roll one of its defense dice of your choice. When defending, you may roll your full defense dice in spite of the presence of an opposing ship scan token. Well, anything's handy when it negates the scan token thing. Not for 5 cost, and its built-in ability, it's a disable, and you get to reroll one of their defense dice, which can be effective considering how poor the odds with defense dice are, but once you disable this card, his other ability no longer applies, so that further decreases the value of him.
Right, but even then you're kind of going, do I have to?
Hey, if it was in a blind pack, I would take it. If I had the points. Yeah.
All right. So that's the Dravona. Well, you and I both bought this.
Yes. Have it in hand. I am happy to own it.
Yeah, me too. There's a few cards here that are good. It's a retail Vorcha. That alone makes it good.
Mm-hmm. So if you don't already have a bunch of Vorchas that you've picked up from people that don't play Klingons, this is a fantastic opportunity to get yourself a generic Vorcha to flesh out your fleet.
Right. Like, I only had 2 Klingon Vorchas.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a nice way to get a third.
Yeah. I have 4 starter Vorchas. Or wait.
Okay, I'm going to get on the phone with Hoarders.
Actually, I have 7 in all, including this one. So that would mean 5 starters, 1 blind Tokat for the mirror, and then this one.
Yeah, definitely calling Hoarders now.
Well, I got a bunch on a really cheap deal. I got them for like $7 each or something like that, and that's Canadian, so that's like what, $4.50, $5 US. And I got it in part so that I would have extras for people in my meta that might want one.
Mm-hmm. This is what people who hoard say. I got a good deal on it, I promise.
Yeah, but I usually follow through and share out through the group, but nobody was really clamoring for it by the time I got them, so.
I suppose. No, I'm just trying to give you a hard time, Nick.
Keep it up. You gotta keep me honest, keep me sharp, and keep me tuned.
I gotta keep you on your toes.
I'm no ballerina.
I understand that. Alright, so now we've got the Romulan pack. We've got the IRW Algeron. Of course, the Treaty of Algeron. The whole cloaking, no cloaking for feds treaty. So it's a D7. They got this from the Klingons. As sadly, the Klingon emblem is emblazed on the bottom of the Algeron.
It was molded that way, but on top of that, it was actually painted in the Klingon colors on the Romulan version here.
Yeah.
Yeah, needless to say, I'm going to be taking my Dremel to that puppy to smooth it out. That, or I might just throw up my hands and pull out my Micro Machines D7s.
Yeah, it's leftover AMAR molds.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They just made the AMAR and the Algeron at the same time. It's the exact same mold.
If they made the D7s properly, Riker should be able to say, smooth as an android's bottom, eh, Data? No.
But no. So the Algeron is a 3-1-3-2. Gives you evade, target lock, cloak, and sensor echo. Standard Romulan bar. We like that. And a crew, a weapon, and a tech slot. I'm a little bummed out at only 3 slots. Because sadly that means that the generic loses a tech slot.
I'm with you there.
I mean, I get it. You kind of want a weapon on a 3 attack dice ship, or at least the possibility to take one. And then it's a toss-up between crew and tech, and a lot of Romulan ships lose crew slots. But tech is so valuable to Romulans as a faction. So it's like, come on, we need to understand the faction here. And the Algeron should have had 2 tech, and then the generic could have 1. And everyone would be happier. But the named ability, when attacking with your primary weapon, if your ship is not cloaked during the declare target step, you may perform a 1 straight maneuver before choosing an enemy ship to attack.
Nice for closing the gap.
Yeah, take a low captain skill, get shot at either out of range, although I think you have to be in range, and then move up in range. Or get shot at range 3 and then maybe move into range 2.
Yeah, I would say you'd have to be within range 3 and arc in order to even trigger this ability.
Although here's the thing. It's before choosing an enemy ship to attack.
But it is during the declare target step.
It really is iffy here.
Yeah, it's like it has 3 different pseudo timings with it. When attacking with your primary weapon, during the declare target step, before choosing an enemy ship to attack.
Like, I thought you chose who to attack and then declared with what weapon you were attacking.
Right. I think it's just requiring that you shoot with your primary, that's all. It's just worded archaically.
And I get that.
It's a little confusing, but I think it's something that shakes out just as we expect, so I wouldn't worry too much on interpretation.
You know what? In fact, in the core rulebook, declare target happens before the roll attack dice step, which is when you calculate how many dice you're rolling, which is then primary weapon value or secondary weapons.
Right.
So, I say, to this. But
yeah.
I think we all know how this is perhaps meant to be interpreted.
Exactly.
You just have to shoot with your primary weapon if you use this ability.
Mm-hmm. All right. We get an Admiral Captain Liviana Charvanek. 5 captain skill or +1 to captain skill in Admiral form. 3 cost. She has a talent slot. Action. If your ship has the cloak action on its action bar, place a cloak token beside your ship, then immediately perform an additional action from your action bar as a free action. First thing that comes to mind, cloak sensor echo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you like where you are, cloak evade.
Mm-hmm. Cloak target lock.
Yep. And that's about where that ends.
Pretty much. Because you're not going to cloak and then cloak.
Yeah, unless you've taken a card that adds something to your action bar. Maybe you took a flagship and you got battle stations on your action bar.
Huzzah!
Or you took a card that adds scan to your action bar. That exists.
The thing I like about this is it allows you to be able to cloak every turn for combat if you're wanting to get some quality and you're not using like the Drex or Nagarin or other ship action means. So you can get your cloak in each turn after firing the previous turn. You can throw out your target lock or even throw in that evade to just get that extra on top of those +4 dice.
Right, because, evade dice are so temperamental.
Yeah, and an evade token is so valuable.
Oh, yeah.
It's a guarantee.
Mm-hmm. Which can never hurt. I like Charvanek on the Baylock, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want that ship cloaked. Because it's going to be really hard to kill. You get to reroll your battle station results.
Yeah.
Every time you defend. While cloaked. If you're not
Can't
cloaked,
complain.
You just get 1. So, cloak it up all the time.
There you go.
I mean, you need to boost up your attack die, but that's reasonable to do.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Nice little trick there.
Who's our captain?
Our captain is Tal. He's a 3-skill, non-talented bloke. Costs you 2 points. If your ship is not cloaked, you may perform a battle stations action as your standard action. even if the battle station's action is not on your ship's action bar. You cannot perform any free actions during the round in which you use this ability.
Nice ability to have. I don't like that it's on the captain, especially one that's a low skill like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's meant now for defense rather than offense, I think.
But given that if it's meant for defense, it's requiring that you're not cloaked, so it's not as useful.
Yeah.
So I would debate that point.
Well, start stacking defense dice.
It's interesting. I like the ability to get a battle stations on Romulans. Always nice, but I'm just not overly impressed with the implementation.
Yeah, and even something like Martok 8 wouldn't help you because that gives a free action.
Exactly. Good point.
So, but Tal is thematic because he allowed Kirk and Spock to steal the cloaking device, so that's why it doesn't work while cloaked. You have to not be cloaked. So it's a little bit of theme that comes in there, but it's not a great ability because of that.
A bit of saving grace. And speaking of cloaked, one of the Romulan talents with this pack is the Cloaked Attack. It is a unique 5-cost talent. When attacking with your primary weapon during the roll attack dice step, you may discard this card and spend your cloak token to gain +2 attack dice. I could see use of that. A little expensive for 5 points, but then again, you are getting 2 attack dice. That can be pretty powerful in the right time.
Oh yeah, I mean, put it on the Scimitar, now you're up to 8.
Mm-hmm. 9 at range 1.
Mm-hmm. Not quite as good on, say, a science vessel.
Right. Now, I would more likely have costed this at 4, just like the whole stat line. 2 points per stat, 2 points per attack die. Because make it a 5, it doesn't quite sell its value, especially when you have to discard the card and spend a cloak token. So right. I could have even costed it lower at, say, 3. I don't think less than 3 would be right, but 3 or 4 I would have been a lot happier.
Yeah, I think 4 might be right, given the things we've seen in the past for getting extra dice, from a talent at least, and then the cost knocks it down from 5 to 4.
I would have put it from 4 to 3 with that cost, but like I said, 4 is acceptable.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's what it is.
If it's something you're going for...
Yeah, it does hurt to lose your cloak token, and you want this on as low of a captain skill as possible. Because once you lose your cloak token, you don't get extra defense dice, and your shields don't come back up until the end phase.
Right, so this would be something you might want to put on a flea that has a cloaking device added to it, or on a ship that's about to kill the only remaining ship that has an attack that turn. Then it would be worth giving up your cloak for if you think the 2 extra dice will make the difference.
Yeah, or just put it on something like Tal with Admiral Q.
Yeah.
Or a generic captain with Admiral Q, so that you're at skill 0.
There you go. So not a bad card.
I mean, because that's how I fly my scimitars, right? Skill 0? That's sure. The right way to do it.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Please say no more.
Okay. We have Command Pod. It's a unique 4-point card. When defending, during the compare result step, you may discard this card to cancel any 1 die result. This upgrade may only be fielded by a captain assigned to a D7 class ship. I just feel like
canceling 1 die
it's
result
not good enough to warrant the restriction.
Yeah, like, sure, by the looks of it, you can cancel...
For 4 points.
You know, an attack or an evade, but you're not going to cancel your own evade. Yeah, you're canceling an attack die.
Yeah.
This should cost
and
no
you can
more
cancel
than
a crit,
2 points, with
which
or
is
without
great.
The restriction. To cancel one hit or crit, because it's basically like an evade or like a hull point or a shield point. 2 points max. Adding the restriction means this card should cost 1 point. If this card was 1 point, it may or may not get taken, especially given it takes up a talent slot, but at least it would be valued appropriately.
Yeah. I mean, Think Fast is a 1 point talent, no matter where it goes. And granted, you discard it and disable something else, and you just roll 1 extra die, but it can be offensive or defensive. This is very comparable, except you don't have to disable something else, and you don't gain a die, you just gain an evade, per se. Except you pick the die to negate. That's basically the same. I guess you can argue that it's slightly better than Think Fast. So that can make it 2 points. But that's it. It's not 4 points. WizKids has done a lot of reasonable things now with some of their pricing, but the cost of talents has been screwy for a long time.
I cannot justify any more than 1 point. 2 is, like I said, was fine for the canceling the result. But, no. For its cost and its value, no one should be taking this talent. I'm sorry. Everything is better.
You're right. The restriction does bring it back down. So, all right, that's Command Pod.
Well, we better get out of here.
So,
and kick in the
maybe we're getting
drive.
a little too technical for
2-point non-unique tech Impulse Drive. You may disable this card to perform a white maneuver if there is an auxiliary power token beside your ship. If you do so, you must still skip your perform action step. No ship may be equipped with more than 1 Impulse Drive upgrade. First up, this one's already been errated.
What they meant to say was, you may disable this card when you perform a white maneuver, if there is an auxiliary power token beside your ship. If you do so, you must still skip your perform action step. You may then remove an auxiliary power token from beside your ship.
I like this card better the way it was. Didn't break anything. It was cool. Now, why?
Well, except there was no reason you couldn't do white moves while you had an aux power.
That was the perk of it. It was just something that you do when you have an aux power token, like you require an aux power token to do it.
Supposedly.
That's all it would have meant.
Right. Now, this card is a worse version of Reliant Chekhov. How about I just do a green move, not spend 2 points and a valuable tech slot,
what could be
and then I still get to do my action.
Absolutely worthless to me.
And everyone else. It honestly went from a card that could have seriously dominated the game in terms of being awesomely cool, and not like broken cool, but just awesome, and you have to figure out how to best utilize it or have a plan for it.
I love the idea of having
now it's totally
the manufacturer coming in with the ability to rule on cards to clear things up for people. But this is not a clarification. This isn't even really a correction. It's a complete 180. It's a come about with, like, quadruple red on it. Like, I'm stunned.
Yeah. All right. And if that wasn't technical enough for you,
get on with
now we have the Romulan technical officer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's a 2-point non-unique crew. Action. Disable this card to place a scan token beside your ship. You cannot perform the scan action as a free action this round. This upgrade may only be purchased for a Romulan ship. No ship can have more than one. Okay, fine.
Could it
action
have just
disable
been action
scan
instead of action disable scan? Yeah.
It could have. Yeah.
Sure.
Or how about action 2 time token scan? That would be better.
That for $2.
It would at least make it so you couldn't do it every round. Yeah, sure.
Right.
I mean, if their
Simple.
notion was they don't
Done.
want you to be able to scan every single round.
If that's not the intent,
then
why?
2 time tokens. Done.
I find that they're really trying to overcost the Romulans to get anywhere close to the abilities of other things. It's like, Federation, they're handing away these prizes like candy. It's like, oh, we're going to let you do this, and while you're at it, you can do this and this at the same time. If you're Romulan, I don't know, I could give you this, but I should probably sell it to you, and maybe warn you that there's also razor blades in it.
I mean, Mirror Ogawa re-enables something for an action, gives you a scan or an evade, and only costs 3 points. This disables itself and gives you a scan for 2. Seems a little off. Maybe if this costs 1, we're not too worried.
Right.
Or if it didn't disable and it just gave me the scan for 2. I'd take that. Or if it just let me disable and didn't also cost me an action.
Well,
either way, make it an action, make it a disable. Don't
the
give me
common
those.
torpedoes that I actually don't mind too much and kind of enjoy. Plasma torpedoes, non-unique, 3 cost, 4 attack dice, range 1 to 2. It's your standard form, attack, target lock. Spend your target lock, but place 3 time tokens on this card to perform the attack. You may re-roll all your blanks 1 time. You may fire this weapon from your forward or rear firing arcs. It really helps to have rear firing arcs. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Must be nice.
That wraps that one up.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. So, you know what?
I know.
There's a
if it
really
was a
cool
Katinga,
named
that would
ship
be
here.
something special.
If only it wasn't a D7.
We get Stormbirds. Huzzah!
Yeah, but they didn't have Katingas. I know. And that is cool. There's a good captain and a moderately good admiral.
That's true.
So, that's more than the Dravona. Again,
agreed.
Maybe cloaked attack is something for the Riemann Warbird, but until talents get cheaper.
And I would like to see more non-unique cards that say limit 1 per ship, because there are a number of cards, whether they're talents or crew or tech or weapons, that are good, but they're not so good that more than 1 per fleet is going to break the game in any sense. And there's no reason why you couldn't have 1 on each ship. It would increase the value of buying multiple ships per expansion wave, and it would change the meta a little bit, I think.
Well, especially, Wave 25, we get 1 new ship. 2 reprints.
Exactly. And in June,
And that's not out
we get
until
the giant
July.
Borg cube with built-in ejectable, I don't know whether it's functionally ejectable or you just got to pull it out, new unique Borg sphere. It's quite a lot. It's $100 US, so it's going to be, probably a good $130, almost $140 Canadian, and whatever other country you're in, it'll vary. But that's a lot to swallow, and it has been leaked on none other than WizKid's site themselves. Mm-hmm. You can't read the cards or anything.
Of course, it's not like you can actually see
get a pretty
much
good
of anything.
idea of the stats, what's with it, And they are both completely unique ships, so if you really wanted to, you could fly 2 unique giant Borg cubes in a casual game. But it's definitely looking, we haven't confirmed, but it's looking like it's going to cost the 82 points, just like the previous one. So it's not going to be something you're going to be seeing in your OPs very often. Although, depending on how the docking sphere and point system and all that works, if there's some shenanigans in there, that might be WizKid's way of pushing it into OP use. Or at least making it possible. But don't hold your breath, folks. Wouldn't want you to turn into a Smurf. Or a Bolian.
Yeah. Kirk's Enterprise. Wave 0 and Wave 24. Because it needed to be re-released. 3143, 22 points. Evade, target lock, scan, battle station, awesome. 4 crew, 1 weapon, no tech, don't worry, we can get some. Named ability, one of the best in the game. The USS Enterprise can perform an action listed on its action bar while it has an aux power token. If you don't think that's good, try it out. Seriously, it works. Alright, 4 crew slots. That's a lot. That's something that's seen on 2 other ships. Deep Space Nine being one, and that's a freaking space station. It's just, it's insanely good. You can just pile on the crew. And right now, Fed has some of the best crew in the game. Alright, 3 attack dice. Why is that important? Because Type 8 and upgraded, now you have 5. Well, you need a second weapon slot, but that's not hard to do. A little thing called Sakona. Alright, 1 agility. We can do things about that. Sulu, Paris, some tech. How do you get more tech? Well, there's crew that give you tech slots. There's tech that give you tech slots. There's system upgrade. That gives you a tech slot. Anyways, we have room. Basically, this is a ship that can be configured to do whatever you want it to do. And at 22 points, you have so much room to make it into whatever you want it to be that it's really good. The generic, you lose a shield, you lose 2 crew slots, and of course the named ability that I can't really recommend running it outside of swarming. And even then, the rationale for why that's good is because it's just 20 points, and you can fit a lot of them into whatever build you're running. 100, 120, 140. Kind of pick a point value, and this works pretty well at whatever you're doing. So, ship has a 180 forward arc. That's insanely useful. 2 white turns on the maneuver dial, which is insane for a 180 ship. Also has a 2 reverse, 3 turns are red, caps out at a 4 straight. That is a maneuver dial that is really good. It's not the best I've seen, but given the 180 arc, it combos really nicely. Are there little minor improvements that I'd like to see? Sure, of course, but it's a really old ship. For what it is, it works. Alright, we have 2 captains here. First up, Christopher Pike, skill 6, 1 talent slot. All of your crew upgrades cost 1 less squad point. Nice captain, but for 4 points, the best you're ever going to do is break even with him, And I can't really justify it. If he also gave you a crew slot like some of the more recent captains have done, then he'd be good, or at least playable. But right now, I think he's relegated to the binder or the box. However you store. He's relegated to the storage solution. Alright, the other captain, James T. Kirk. Skill 9, 2 talent slots, 6 points. Any Federation talent upgrade you purchase for Kirk cost exactly 3 points, unless he's not on a Federation ship, in which case then they're 4. They're placed face down beside his card. Each talent remains face down until you decide to use it, and then it's turned face up for the rest of the game. Now, a lot of people use this to get 2 cheat deaths for 6 points, and that's still a legitimate way to use it. However, there are some other cool Federation talents that have a little bit of life to them. They're better when they're reduced in cost. So, I'm not saying don't run just cheat death, but the thing becomes that Kirk needs to be more of a Swiss Army knife rather than a blunt instrument that you just use to stay alive, stay alive. But I like Kirk. I like what's there. I think that there's a ton of potential there. Feds are getting more elite talents every day, or at least every wave, and he has options. So keep pulling them out, keep looking at those Fed talents, see what kind of works, figure out if there's something that is cool in your build, and, skill 9, it's never a bad thing. Alright, speaking of some talents, we have the aforementioned cheat death. If your ship was just destroyed, discard this card to remove damage cards one at a time from your ship until the amount of damage is 1 point less than your hull value. Flip all remaining damage cards face down. Yeah. No crits. Come back. Still have 1 health. And that is just a 5-point talent, and more so, it's non-unique. Why it's still non-unique? I don't know. Really wish they'd errated that. Make it unique. But, is what it is. You stay alive, staying alive's good, lets you do your trick longer. Another one, Corinne Deceleration. Also 5-point, non-unique action. If you performed a 1 forward, discard this upgrade to come about, and then place an Aux Power token beside your ship. So, you almost have to do this as you're moving. So you say, hey, I'm moving, and then I'm going to Corinne Decelerate. Timing there's weird, otherwise you do a 180 spin. But, any way you work at it, it's there, it's a viable thing. It's nice to have a 1 come about, but 5 points, pricey even on Kirk. I don't know that it's 3 points good, though it is a great surprise. So, yeah, maybe. And the last talent is Corbomite Maneuver. 5-point, non-unique. Action, discard this card to prevent all enemy ships from attacking you this round. You cannot attack this round. It makes sense. Fair trade-off. The problem I have with this card is the problem that I have with a lot of cards that are worded like this. They can't attack you, but you just refers to your ship. So they can attack anybody else in the rest of your fleet, and then you can't attack at all. So, yeah, your one ship will stay alive, but the rest of your fleet's going down. Now, if you're in a mission and you only have one ship, then Corbomite Maneuver is amazing. Because then they don't get to shoot at all, and that's, like, everybody can't shoot. And that is actually really cool. So, like in Kobayashi Maru, Corbomite Maneuver is a wonderful talent. But, yeah, short of that, very specific card. Very specific timing of when it's good and situational. But, so it's a playable. Alright, We get a whole bunch of crew, as you'd figure. Hikaru Sulu is first up. 3 points. Unique, of course. Action. Add 2 to your agility for the rest of the round. Each time you defend this round, you can convert 1 battle station into an evade. Awesome. People still use him today. Great way to get extra defense dice. Yes, he's an action, but he also gives you conversion, which is something you desperately need on defense. Hood Riker is better, because it's 1 extra and 1 conversion, but no action. So, it's there. Run them both, and that's a lot. Good luck killing that. Next up, we have Leonard McCoy. 3-point card. Discard McCoy to allow one of your crew upgrades to perform its action as a free action this round. So you want to do Sulu for free? Bring along McCoy. McCoy's an enabler, and for 3 points, probably a little too expensive. He would be a perfect 2-point card. Montgomery Scott is up next. 5-point, unique action. Disable 2 of your shields in order to gain +2 attack dice this round, or repair 1 shield token and reduce your total attack dice by 2 this round. You know, this is a card that saw a lot of play early on, and even a lot of play while dreadnoughts were a thing, because then it was how many attack dice can you roll over and over and over again. And I like Montgomery Scott. I like the flexibility that's there. But more and more, I feel like he's just overpriced. At 4 points, he would be amazing. But at 5 points, I just don't play him anymore. Because there's not enough benefit from losing 2 durability for the round just to roll 2 extra dice that have no quality. Yeah, 50-50 to hit, so I should be getting 1 hit. But I have better ways of getting 1 hit now than I did back in Wave 0. So, it's there. I think it's a little too pricey. Alright, next crew, Mr. Spock. 5-point. If your ship has a scan token beside it when you attack, you may convert all of your battle station results into hit results. This card still works, is still viable. Yes, he's expensive, but he works. And you want to scan. He's making your scan work more. And that's never a bad thing. So, again, I'd love him at 4. 5 makes me kind of cringe, but I have more ways of getting scan tokens now. So Spock is even better than he was. And the last crew in this pack is Yoda Uhura. 3-point card. Discard Uhura immediately before you move in order to change your maneuver for this round. Now, this card is very situational, but in the situation where your opponent brings cards that let them look at your maneuver dial or set your maneuver dial, Thoughtmaker, Lure, Luther Sloan, things like that, Uhura becomes invaluable. And other times, you move and everything just bumps and collides and you have a gigantic cluster hug on the board. And it's just like, wow, I'm going to bump. And I'm going to be in a bad position because 3 ships are going to shoot at me. Well, now you can do a move that gets you out of there. And that can be worth it. Now, this is a card that kind of makes up for bad piloting, but sometimes bad piloting isn't just your fault. So, look, Uhura, reasonable card, depends on what your opponent's bringing, but I'd at least consider her. That's a meta-specific reactionary card. If you're having problems with Lure, Uhura's there. Now, they're probably not going to target Uhura, but at least you have a tool to protect your big ship. Alright, overall, the Enterprise. I know it's coming out here, and so you kind of sit there and you go, is it worth buying if I don't have it? Yeah, it really is. Cards like Spock, Scotty, Kirk, Cheat Death, they are useful pieces. Do you have to have them? I don't feel like you absolutely have to have them. But the Enterprise herself is a very good ship. There's a ton of potential there. I mean, just being able to do things when you have aux power, you're taking away the drawback of red maneuvers. You're not worried about your opponent inflicting aux power to you, and that helps. So I think that there's a lot to be gained from this pack, and that's more than I can say about a lot of recent packs. Wave 23, I'm looking right at you. So, if you don't have a tiny prize, then I say go out and buy this when it comes out here in early May. If you do have one, I don't know that you need to get a second one, but really, the Enterprise is one of the 15 most essential expansions, I'd say. But yeah, that's where I'm at, and I think that you do well to have this in your fleet. So thank you guys for listening, and until next time.
Warp Core Breach is produced by Nick Norris and David Montgomery, with additional content from our contributors. Our computer is voiced by Corinne Donnelly.
Warp Core Breach is not endorsed, sponsored, or affiliated with CBS Studios Incorporated or the Star Trek franchise. All Star Trek trademarks and logos are owned by CBS Studios Incorporated.
All sound files are used under Creative Commons 3.0 by attribution. For specifics, please visit our Facebook page by searching Warp Core Breach Podcast. If you want to contribute to the show, let us know on the Facebook page, or you can email us at warpcorebreachpodcast@gmail.com.